Okay, so we are. Okay, that's Bulgarian. Okay, chalo. Okay, we are live on YouTube as well. So welcome everybody. Jai Shri Ram. That's the flavor of the month. And we are diving right into the topic today. And it's a very, very interesting topic. And the topic is going to be around the 2024 Vedic planning and generally understanding how the year is going to be. I'll be doing actually two sessions, one now and one just before the start of the Tithi Pravesh or the new year, Chaitra Shukla. Okay, so a part of it or majority of the basics, etc., we'll cover. And then just maybe 15 days before, we will sort of be doing another webinar where we'll be drilling down more into it. You know, what happens is I have written an ebook. I'm sure all of you have gone to my website, have downloaded the ebook as well. If not, I would request you to please go to the website. It's over here as well. If you see 𝗙𝗿𝗄𝗯𝗀.com, and the ebook will help you understand some basics in a very simple way. And you'll be able to understand this session much better, when you sort of attend it again in the part 2 as well. Okay. So we are very clear. Those of you who have just joined can do a simple mantra like 𝗏𝗪𝗏 in your mind so that the knowledge that you are gaining is going to stay with you. Okay. So whenever you pray to Guru or when you do any mantra, the higher objective of any mantra is for the knowledge to stick with the soul. Right? That there is so much of knowledge that we get. And frankly speaking, if you ask any Jyotish student, their common problem is, Kaartik ji, we learn a lot, we study so much, but we can't remember, how do you remember? Or how does XYZ remember? And we can't remember, right? So whenever you do a mantra, the higher objective of a Mrityunjay mantra also is for you to ensure that the knowledge stays with the soul. So if you are going to have a human birth, hopefully we all will get moksha, but that won't be possible. So considering we will get a next birth, ideally we won't go to the talas, we'll be getting a human birth. If we are going to get a human birth as well, the knowledge stays with us rather than starting from A for apple again. We are directly going to start from J for Jyotish, right? So with that good thought, let us start the whole process of understanding Vedic planning. And I'm going to do it in two parts. And within this, I'm going to have two parts of it. One is, what I had promised on my LinkedIn, that I'm going to talk a little about the Ram temple and, how this event is so important as far as the elections are also considered. And I'll give my sort of thoughts into it. And then we will be understanding the Vedic planning as well. Okay. Now, so I come from a projects background. I'm a project manager, having worked with top IT giants. So I like to do things in a very, very methodical way, right? So what we call it in project management as setting the expectations, right? So what are the expectations for today? We are going to understand what is the new year. Now, most of you who are coming here have been following me either on LinkedIn or some social media. But if you're not following me on LinkedIn, I would specially request you to follow me on LinkedIn, because that's where I love to, write a lot of strategic content, because that's an audience which is very logical, and I like to sort of work with that sort of an audience. Yeah. So most of you who have been following me know that the 1st of January is not the new year, right? The Vedic New Year, or for that matter, the Vedic birthday. For example, I'm born on 3rd of May, right? But I don't celebrate my birthday on 3rd of May every year. Yes, from a Facebook perspective or from a congratulatory messages, I might get on 3rd of May because there will be a pop-up which you all will get that, hey, today is Kartik's birthday and you all will wish me, Kartik ji, happy birthday, Kartik, happy birthday, depending on how you know me, right? But the fact of the matter is that Vedic birthday is purely based on the Panchanga, right? I always tell people you are born for a reason and you have to wait for the season, which is the Panchanga, for your reasons to manifest, So once, let's say the Brahma's team has decoded all the karmas, etc., and then they are going to then run it on an Excel file. And that Excel file or that lucky draw is going to give the exact time and date and the parents to which you could be born. So then there is a whole reverse process where your father and mother had to get married or they have to conceive you, and then on that particular tithi, on that particular day, on that particular nakshatra, karana, yoga, the soul will be born. Okay. So similarly, when it comes to Vedic birthday, it is purely based on the concept of Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. Okay. That is the tithi on which the new year is calculated. And it changes the date every year. Last year, it was something in March. This year, it's April 8th or 9th, So like that, you will have to sort of understand, and I'm going to give you a logical understanding of, what the whole process is all about. Okay. We will also understand how to draw it and analyze the chart, and I'm going to give you some very, very strong principles, which will be a strong takeaway, for all of you who are new, probably attending it the first time, you all will be able to have some very, very strong takeaways from it. Yeah. The application of knowledge. Now, this is something which is very dear to me. I always tell each of my students that if you are learning Jyotish, if you are learning any subject, learn it logically. Because if you aren't going to learn it logically, if you aren't able to spread the knowledge logically to the next generation or even to your kids, right? Kids of today's generation don't like to be told. If you tell them do Om Namah Shivaya, one round, they'll say, I'm not going to do it, because I don't know the logic. But if you are going to sort of give them a very logical understanding that, listen, this is Panchakshari, it is going to impact your 5th house, this is how it works. Even the Om Bija is nothing but the whole Panchakshari, where is this Nada Bindu, right? Om, Nada and Bindu. So Om as a Bija is also a Panchakshari, right? So when you talk to your kids or the younger generation, giving them a logical reasoning, probably they will consider, your advice, right? So I always tell all my students or everybody who follows me, and you all know me by now, that I like to give the logical take rather than the hocus and focus. That just because, okay, I have a certain bit of following, whatever I say is the gospel truth. No, it doesn't work like that. I like to debate with myself. I like people debating, but in a logical way, so that ultimately the knowledge can be bettered and knowledge actually wins, right? At the end of the day. We are going to have some important predictions and remedies. Yes, we are going to do that. And the Ram Mandir impact on the 2024 election. This is something that I had promised. And this is something that was highly demanded by people who follow me. So since the Ram Mandir cannot be on the 5th, it has to be on the top. So we will start with that understanding. Okay. Now, who is it for and who is it not for? So if you are obsessed about your own horoscope and you are going to message me, first and foremost, I'm not going to listen or able to read any of your messages while I'm teaching. So frankly speaking, it's going to be a waste of time for you. If you're going to send your birth details, that this is my birth details, when will I get married, then this is not the forum, frankly speaking, right? Because this is not a free consultation webinar, right? So I'm not out of work. I'm just doing this because long back, I did a sankalp that I'll be teaching Jyotish, and, this is my way of doing webinars, wherein, I can probably motivate some of you to take up Jyotish, and see that this knowledge doesn't die. So that's the main objective for me, to spend time in doing my slides or talking to you all absolutely free of cost, right? If you aren't open-minded, so if you're somebody who sort of knows everything, or completely close to the knowledge that, hey, listen, astrology doesn't work, I know it doesn't work, it's waste of time, then frankly speaking, you are wasting your time. You shouldn't be attending, you should be doing something better, right? Or if you feel that you know everything, you are some scholar, then frankly speaking, you anyways know everything. So you are not there. So the only people who are supposed to be here are people who want to learn, or even if you know better knowledge than me, if you're open about sort of picking up few things which probably you might find interesting, then this is the best forum for you. So coming back to our Ram temple. Okay. Now, first and foremost, you have to remember that you have to take the Murata into consideration. Okay. For example, it was 22nd of January on 12/29/06. Okay. This was clearly announced. Okay. Now, few things which I wanted to talk about. There's a beautiful picture, right, of Lord Ram. Okay. So we see that first and foremost, both the Lagna and the Navamsha Lord. Navamsha is something what will happen in future as a result of this action. Okay. So both of them are having Mangal as the Lord. Okay. So let us keep that in perspective. Now, few things. Guru is in Lagna. Now, this is something which is absolutely fantastic. Okay. Whenever Guru is in Lagna, that means, that work will fructify. Okay. If you remember 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗐 Modi's 2019 swearing in, also as Guru in Lagna. You remember? Yes. So Guru is in Lagna and Surya is in Digbala in the 10th house. Okay. So this is also superb. This is absolutely superb. Okay. Now, Shri Ram is associated with Surya. Everybody knows that there are the avatars of Vishnu. How many avatars? Actually speaking, 10 avatars. The Navagrahas, and the 10th is for the Lagna, which is the 𝗀𝗁𝗐𝗂𝗪, which is pending. Right? He will come towards the end of Kali Yuga. And there is already a temple which is ready for him, where all the pujas and everything are being done. Huh? So those of you who don't know should also know that there is a special temple which is already there in Jagannath Puri, which is for the 𝗀𝗁𝗐𝗂𝗪 who is yet to be born. But we are very sure that he will be born, and there are clear calculations. It's long time from now. But the pujas are already on. Okay. So Surya is Shri Ram. Right? Chandra is Shri Krishna. Mars is 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗔, and so on and so forth. You all know. Okay. So who was this temple for? This temple was for Shri Ram. So Surya. So Surya's importance becomes very high. Where is Surya? Surya is in the 10th house. Wow. So it is superb. It is Digbala. Right? And the Lagna is Agni Lagna, Mangal. Right? Or Mesha rather. Because this is Jala. Right? So it is a Agni Lagna lauded by Mars. Both the Lagna and Navamsha are ruled by Mars. So Modi ji kept on saying that, this is all about the energy that is going to come up. Okay. Now, what do we do? What are the other things? Where is the Lagna Lord going? Lagna Lord is going into the 9th house of temples. Huh? And then there is a Parivartana also. So by Parivartana, after it happens, it is like Mangal in the Lagna. And Jupiter comes back to the 9th house. Right? So that parivartana will happen, but that is again a best yoga between Lagna and the ninth lord parivartana. Absolutely superb. And Jupiter also has a graha drishti on the ninth house. So we can definitely say that given the circumstances, it was one of the best muhurta. Okay. Now, it is Scorpio Lagna, 𝗙𝗏𝗯𝗃. So 𝗙𝗏𝗯𝗃 is the impact of what will happen after that. After the event, Scorpio is supposed to happen. Okay. Where is the Lagna Lord in 𝗙𝗏𝗯𝗃? Lagna Lord is with Moon. And I want you all to remember this Moon and Mars combination, which is very prominent in Scorpio in the chart of Narendra Bhai Modi. Now, always remember that the importance of a good astrologer or the class of a good astrologer is he is able to be unbiased. He might have his liking. Everybody will have a liking. But you all will remember that when Delhi elections were there, I was the first one to say it. BJP will lose it and 𝗲𝗏 Party will win. Right? So there are times when I've said that, BJP is losing it. But yet, I have a soft corner for Narendra Bhai Modi. But whenever it comes to logical understanding, I have always kept my personal preferences away from what we see. But if I see that this is purely a landmark event and this is where it is going to establish, and 2024 is, frankly speaking, a done deal, then I should say, right? And I'm giving you a logical explanation. So even if somebody is, let's say, feeling otherwise, can counter based on the logic, right? Now, so this is there. So overall, we can say that, there is something related to this 𝗙𝗏𝗯𝗃, which is going to get up. And this Lagna Lord in Parivartana is also happening, and there are two other planets, plus the one which is coming with Parivartana. Okay. So what is this happening in the ninth house where there are three planets? That there are two more temples which they will talk about after this Ayodhya. They are already talking about Kashi and Mathura. Right? Plus there is one more. Okay. Which is a Mangal-like structure. Now, a lot of people are saying it could be Qutub Minar. Or, if there is some other structure. But there will be three which will be the focus as far as, the next manifesto or something is concerned. Two are confirmed as a straight case, and one which will be like an underlining thing. Qutub Minar or a Taj Mahal or something like that. But two are very clear. This is Mercury and Venus. Okay. And I'm trying to teach you. Over here also there is this moon. So within that also this moon, which is Krishna, or Mathura, would be a very, very high priority. Okay. Both actually, Moon and Mars. So there will be two temples which actually will become very high on priority, and one which will be floating around. I don't know the third one. I'm just taking a guess. Okay. But this is something which you have to understand it from this particular case. Now, generally, whenever you give a muhurta, you should always try to understand the muhurta with a nimitta. Okay. Now, if you see, after the Prana Pratishtha was done, there was this, the yoga, if you see in the Panchanga, if you see the yoga, there is something called as Amrita Garuda Bala. So yoga is always something which is happening in the sky. Okay. And they say that if the muhurta is very strong and perfect, and gods are really blessing it, you will see the sky changing. You will see the nimittas. So what was the Bala? Garuda Bala. And as the Pran Pratishtha started, the Garuda was flying on the air throughout. This is what I was telling. I constantly keep on sharing a lot of articles and lot of posts on my LinkedIn related to omens and nimittas. You remember some time back I talked about 𝗪𝗲𝗏𝗃, who was hit by a crow. And then later on, he lost his Rajya Sabha seat. Right? So what were the other omens that were seen? Okay, these are from Ayodhya. Huh? The weather was overcast, but come Monday, sun was shining bright. Okay, so for 2 days, it was like overcast because it was quite chilly. But come the day of Pran Pratishtha, since morning, the sun was bright. Okay, this was the nimitta. This is the nimitta for Surya in Digbala. Right? And Surya is Shri Ram. He is the Prathama. That's why Shri Ram is said to be as the Maharaj. The best mantra to worship Shri Ram is Om Namo Bhagavate Maharajaya. Very beautiful mantra. Huh? What was the other nimitta which I saw when I was seeing it? The priest gifted PM Medi a gold ring. Did you all see it? I'm sure you all also saw it, but probably did not pick it as a nimitta. So he gifted him, and, rather the priest made him wear it. And where did he wear it? On his right hand ring finger, which is again ruled by Surya. And he wore it inside the temple. So this Jupiter and this Surya, which are the only two planets in Kendra, in Lagna in the 10th house, were established very strongly. See, nimittas sometimes, or most of the times, are something, which tend to happen. They are never planned. If you plan it, then it is not a nimitta. Nimitta is something which is rare, which doesn't happen, and it happens. Right? This is there. Lot of people 2 days before the event would have seen when Modi ji was, I think this was in Guruvayur, where, the elephant sort of gave him the respect, and the elephant looked very happy. Now, some of you might argue that, okay, elephants are trained and they are trained to do that, no big deal. In a way, you are right. But the fact of the matter, or the counter argument, is also that there are a lot of times when the elephants misbehave. A lot of times when, in spite of giving a lot of training, the animal just doesn't listen, and that day they are cranky, or for whatever reason, they sort of misbehave. And I can show you a lot of nimittas like that, where kings and princes have gone, and the animal just doesn't do what the master tells them to do. And at times, it is just too beautiful. So always understand that an elephant is also associated with Jupiter, in case you don't know. Okay. And it giving the blessings to 𝗪𝗏𝗏 was a confirmation that Jupiter in Lagna is superb. Absolutely superb. And I'll again, in the next slide when we go, I'll give you a more logical understanding. Now, this is the video that I showed you, an eagle or the Garuda. Garuda is associated with the Jatayu family. It's the king of the birds, associated with Surya again. And Jatayu is the one, who sort of tried to save Ma Sita when Ravan had kidnapped. And there is a Jatayu temple which has been established, Jatayu outside the temple, facing Lord Ram. And a Garuda, and Garuda is also a Vahana of Vishnu. And he is a Vishnu avatar, Shri Ram. So if you can correlate everything, you'll understand how big a nimitta this is. And most of them don't have this. There was somebody over there who knew me, and they keep on reading about my nimittas. Immediately they shot and sent it to me. That Kartik ji exactly at the start and till the end it was there, then it went away. Brilliant, right? Again, Surya. Garuda is also the Vahana of Vishnu. Remember that. And as I showed you, the yoga is, Muhurat is Amrita and Garuda Bala. Okay. Yogas are associated with the Akash, Jupiter basically, Akash Tattva. And would you still call it a coincidence? Just today or yesterday, somebody sent me a message that there is only one monkey, which came inside the temple, did the darshan, exactly came inside the gate like everybody would come. Sat there, the priests were very scared because they thought, something if it jumps and the idol breaks or something like that. But they waited what the monkey would do. He went inside, he did the darshan, and it came out. Just one. He has to be Hanuman. Right? Okay. Now, understand the signification. See, the way I am trained into Jyotish is what we call it as Raj Jyotish. Right? So what we do is we tend to pick up events and guide clients, so to say, or guide whoever is seeking guidance, right? Now, if this is BJP's chart, right? BJP as a party was formed on this day, okay? Again, midday. Where is the Surya? There is only one planet in the whole Kendra. There is a Surya, Ram. So right from day one, BJP is only one party. We need to credit them for staying by one temple, that is Jai Shri Ram. Mandir wahi banayenge. Ups and downs have come, but this is one party which has not been a woke. And they have been very clear that, hey, listen, this has to happen. How it happens is something. And then we need to credit 𝗪𝗏𝗏 Modi, who ultimately got it happen. Okay. Again, you will see this Chandra and this moon. Remember, there is this moon, which is also in Scorpio, house of Mangal. Okay. Again, Surya and Digbala. So they can't lose. Frankly speaking, if they stand by Surya and after they've established Surya, it is impossible for them to lose. Impossible. You can't defeat BJP in 2024. Period. And this is something I had told at the peak of COVID in the second phase, when people were, even the staunchest of Modi ji supporter or BJP supporter were little jittery that, we might lose this time or we might not be able to make it this time. There is a lot of this wave, that wave. And I was the one, who likes to go against the tide, as usual, Mesha Lagna. So I was the one who was saying that, listen, 2024 is a closed option. Modi ji is winning. And people used to criticize me. People used to troll me. Even my own friends used to say, why are you arguing at this point of time? Everybody is angry against him. I said that, this is the time when I'll show that I can stand up and still stand by what I have said. In 2011 is the first time I had said Modi ji will be the prime ministerial candidate. Modi ji will win. Modi ji will win with majority and Modi ji will be a 3-time prime minister. This is very much everybody knows that I was amongst the first one, not amongst the first one to actually talk about a leader from Gujarat ever trying to make it to Delhi. Now everybody says that they also said, but the fact lies that I was the first one who at that point of time gave a very logical reasoning and told that 3 times and all 3 times with majority. To that level I had said. Okay. And here is the conviction. Now this is Narendra Bhai Modi's chart. Okay. What I want you all to focus is on this Scorpio. I showed you this BJP Scorpio. I talked about this Moon and Mars combination even in the Prana Pratishta chart. You remember? And what is Modi ji having? Modi ji is having his 10th Lord in the second house, which we call it as Simhasana Yoga. Huh? Simhasana means the chair. And this is the called as a Rudra Yoga. Huh? Now I'll tell you one secret, which Congress people don't understand. This particular yoga is such that Modi ji would love being cornered. Or shall we say, you corner this man and you will be wiped out. So what happened in 2019 is when Rahul Gandhi started saying 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗎 is the time I said that BJP is crossing 300. Why? Because he activated the Mangal. Because Mangal is 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗎 guard. What is the other topics they talked about? They talked about Rafale, military, Dassault, corruption in army, all these things, Rafale and all those things, all related to military. And related to that, they said 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗎. I said, wow, that's brilliant. Then they picked up a scheme called 𝗫𝗍. So this 𝗫 is associated with this particular sign, Scorpio. And again, this time, he is again going with this 𝗫 with this scheme called 𝗫𝗍. And what is the dasha Modi ji is going through? Modi ji is going through his Mangal dasha. So what is going to happen in Mangal dasha? It's pure Raj Yoga. The 7th Lord is in 2nd Lord with the 10th Lord and this Rudra Yoga. So the more they are going to hit at him, the more better for him. Absolutely brilliant. And the Shula, the Surya is going to be over here in this particular axis. So it is a straight yoga for office again. And this is the power of a Shivalinga called Somnath. Okay. So I just wanted to have this logical sort of an understanding. So you all are in sync with how to actually sit calmly and understand political or geopolitics that's going around, without getting biased. Okay. Now we go into the part 2, which is about the Vedic planning, and we are going to understand what we are going to do with this part of it. Okay. So there are the logical part of it. Okay. The Vedic New Year does not start with January 1, which is very, very clear, right? We are all born or purely based on the Panchanga, right? So there has to be a Panchanga of the world also, right? When was the world started? When did Brahma create the world? And luckily for us, everything is written in the books. Everything from generation to generation has been passing. Even if you understand a simple process of how a priest takes the sankalpa, he is going to talk about the whole concept of timeline. And finally, he is going to talk about the placements of the grahas. And finally, then he is going to talk about your gotra, your nakshatras, your moon placement. And then finally about what you want from that particular yajna or puja, so to say. Right? So we are very clear that, hey, listen, for us, date is not important because the date can keep changing. For us, that special sequence of the planet or that particular Panchanga is something which is very important for us to understand, whether it is our birth date or which we call it as Tithi Pravesh, or whether it is the New Year, or let's say the Pravesha of the world itself. Now somebody might ask, hey, Kaartik, what is the logic or when is it? So when is it? We call it as a Tithi called as Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. So every Chaitra Shukla Pratipada is the day when, we are very clear that Mother Earth was created as per Vishnu Purana. Okay, so it is no Tom, Dick and Harry saying that okay, I got it in my meditation, etc. No, Vishnu Purana, which was written long, long back, is very clear that, listen, this is the tithi in which Brahma had created the current yuga. So for every yuga, there is a start date. And Brahma had chosen this particular tithi to start the Kali Yuga after the Pralaya. Pralaya happens when sun and moon are in Pisces. Okay. So Pralaya means, there was a yuga before. And then there was a Pralaya, then was whole destruction. And that concept is called Om. Huh? Om. Right. So what we say as Om is actually having 5 parts to it. There is also Nada and there is also Bindu. Okay. But as of now, let us consider this as the creation. U is the sustenance. And Ma is the destruction. Huh? Like Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas. Okay. So similarly, we can say that, okay, this was the tithi on which it was created. Okay. So this is exactly the time after the Amavasya ended, is when Sri Ram was born on Chaitra Navami. So the reason I clubbed the topic together of Ram temple and this is purely because of this particular nimitta, that, hey, listen, this tithi is also associated with a very, very important concept, because after the 9th day is when Sri Ram was born. So the Pratipada is when the world was started, and that Navami is when, as per the Ramayana, is when Lord Rama was born. Okay. Now, very important reason why we are doing this is we are supposed to Raj Jyotisha, and you are all a Jyotisha, right? You are all aspiring to sort of become more and more better, and the only way you can do is by doing your mantras, by doing practice, and at all times being students. Never get into that notion that you know a lot or you have become some great astrologer, so to say. Always keep your feet on the ground and you'll be fine. Yeah. But what you need to do as a Jyotishi, you are supposed to be good to the place where you are and generally look at the world around, because that's where a Raj Jyotishi comes into picture. He has a top view of the world. Okay. And he will cast the chart for the king and his kingdom, and basically he will help the personal and professional front, what he is supposed to do, what are we supposed to plan. There are a lot of other secrets and a lot of other things that can be done. Okay. So the logical question a lot of you might ask is, how does it impact me, right? How does it impact us? If it is a start of a year to a country, how does it impact? The answer is that yes, somebody might say it doesn't impact, but it does impact. Let's say if I'm in Dubai, and if Dubai is not going to do well, and if there's going to be a great recession, and or let's say a war starts here, or it's going to become chaotic, does it not impact me? Absolutely, it does impact me. Some of you might be in various spaces. Somebody who might be in Russia, let's say in 2018 or 19, the condition there, or somebody who will be in Ukraine, they can definitely say that, okay, nothing impacted them in their horoscope, but their country's horoscope had a war. So it did impact them, right? So that's why a king's horoscope is very important, because if a king is going to go through a good or a bad time, then automatically that sort of good luck or a bad luck is going to trickle down on you. Very logical, right? So it's very important for us to understand that, hey, listen, that particular Tithi Pravesh chart or that New Year chart is something that you will have to see in context with your own chart. And then take logical decisions, whether it is time for me to move out of this country, whether it is time for me to buy a property in this country, whether it is the time for me to look at some other country, so on and so forth. Yeah. It is also called as Ugadi, which is hinting at a new world order. And Chaitra Navratri is celebrated for 9 days from this day. It is very important. So, right, though it is, we start this chart from Pratipada, but from Pratipada till the 9th day, typically, we say that we follow the Chaitra Navratri. This is when a lot of people fast for 9 days. Modi ji does it as well. And I know a lot of people who do fasting. The Navratris are there. Devi Puja is done, so on and so forth. Okay. So what do? The do's and don'ts, especially the location of the chart always must be the capital of that country. Okay. So if I'm in Dubai and if I want to see how Dubai will do, I don't need to look at it from Dubai. I need to look at it from Abu Dhabi, right? Because Abu Dhabi is the capital of UAE, right? So similarly, wherever you are, if you are in Mumbai, you can't take it as Mumbai, you still have to take it as Delhi, right? Because India's capital is Delhi. Okay. So Tithi must be exactly at the start of Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. This I will show you how to do it. And the Lord of the day, which is Varesh, holds the key apart from Lagnesh of the chart. So Varesh is something, which mostly is how the world looks at you. And the Lagnesha is basically the you or the country, basically. Right? So generally, how much in synergy are you? Where is the world focus and where is your country's focus? So on and so forth. Yeah. The concept of Samvatsara, which is a 60-year period, is associated with this Jupiter, basically. And, the next year will be Vikram Sampat 2081. Okay. So this is how our calculations are, while doing the Sankalpa, as I told you, this is also something that the Pandit does it. Okay. Varesh and Lucknow Lord can change for a country, so be alert. It is very important. So a lot of time people might say that, how does it change from a country to country? It changes from country to country because the time zones are different. The Lagnas will be different. The Lagna Lords will be different. More or less, the Varesh would be the similar, more or less. There might be some countries in different horizons which might have a different Varesh also, by the way. That's why I'm giving that date of 8th and 9th. For example, moon is the Varesha for India, and we are going to talk about it. Just looking a little back on, a lot of you who might not be following me for a longer time or following Jyotish for the first time would like to understand the logical aspect. So we are looking at India's chart for 2020. Okay. Now, who is the day lord? Day lord is Mars. Okay. Where is that? Okay. Day lord is over here, Mars, and the Lagna lord is Moon. Okay. So, and we see this Saturn-Mars combination, which is in the Maraka house, and it is called as Yama Yoga. And it is very, very badly placed. Okay, in a Maraka house. With Mars in MKS, but in exaltation, Shani in Digbala, So it is a combination which is very, very deadly. Plus, there was this Kala Sarpa. Huh? All the planets were between Rahu and Ketu. Right? So what was this time? This was the peak COVID. This is where most of the waves came, the Kala Sarpa was there. So what happened when Kala Sarpa is there? Kala Sarpa means as if like there is a snake outside. So a lot of us were at home, we were having those lockdowns and, we were seeing deaths around and, everybody, lost somebody in the family and basically it was quite chaotic, right? And even in India, there were a lot of deaths, right? Generally in the world, because it was a year of Kala Sarpa. Okay. Now, how did it change, let's say, over here? Day Lord was still Mangal. Day Lord and year Lord were still Mangal. Okay. And where was Mangal? Mangal was in the 8th house. Okay. But if you see this 𝗀𝗪𝗪𝗀 was gone. There were lot of planets which were outside the domain. Mangal had gone out of the domain of this Sarpa. So technically speaking, after this, the 𝗀𝗪𝗪𝗀 was broken. There was a planet outside, there was people traveling, you know. However, the focus of India, because the Lagnesh and the Varesh, uh, both are Mangal, it would be on the 8th house of transformation. Okay. So this is where it would be, the focus would be on. And this is what has happened, be it from 2023 mid is when, the whole transformation started. This would be the time when a lot of the land reforms would happen. But ultimately, the COVID sort of a structure is gone, which we saw in the 2020 chart. Okay. And I've talked in detail about this. If you go to my YouTube, you will be able to find out. So I don't want to get into too much of detail, but I was just trying to show you how different was the two charts and a little similarity when we talk about 2024, where I want to focus on. So 2024, as far as India is concerned, the day lord is moon. Okay. So day lord is moon, and moon is part of 𝗪𝗪𝗃. Moon is also combust. Okay. But the Lagna lord is Jupiter, which is in the 9th house in Aries. Interesting, huh? The Mandir also, Jupiter was in Aries. You remember? And with Mercury. So this is a beautiful combination called as Gita, Bhagavad Gita. So this particular yoga is beautiful. So can we say that, hey, listen, this is the year where there is something exceptional as far as education system is concerned? Those are the decisions that will be taken. Something for the kids, something, for the education system, banking system, uh, the way we work in terms of the software integration. There are going to be a lot of future projects, especially related to AI and sort of things. And 5th house is actually a lot of future planning, where Modi ji can actually give out a lot of roadmaps immediately once this sets up. Okay. And it is with the 10th Lord Mercury. You need to understand, 10th Lord of Mercury is with the Lagna Lord. So are we looking at a government being repeated? Absolutely, we are looking at a government being repeated. Okay. Now, if you remember, generally, the yoga which I am not happy about, which is there, is this yoga which is called as Yama Yoga. Okay. So this is something which is there in this year's chart. In 2020, we had it right in the 7th house, okay, which was a Maraka house as far as India was concerned. So there were a lot of deaths which were happening. Here, Yama Yoga is there, but it is in the 3rd house of Parakrama. So India might finally do something, which generally you don't associate with India, or might be dragged into a war or a smaller conflict, something like that. Right? But overall, our focus will be on future. Lagnesh is what India is going to focus on. Yama Yoga is what is the external factor. The moon is what the world is going to focus on, because that is something which is the day lord. And then there is another concept which I will talk about in the part 2, which we do it after a month or so. Yeah. But we can definitely say that when you constantly talk about 𝗪𝗏 Guru, then this is the year where you might finally have some clear guidelines or some clear system by which, probably things will actualize or fructify. And if you see this Jupiter has got an aspect on the ninth house, which is temples, and the Lagna, which is fame. And it is in the Panchama Bhava. Brilliant mantration. So definitely from the initial Pran Pratishtha thing, we saw that there are two temples which are being talked about. Over here, definitely one temple will be built probably through this phase. Okay. But apart from that, the main focus, again with Ketu in the 10th house, it is going to be a time when the whole of the government machinery are going to overwork themselves. Crazy amount of work will be done. The guidelines will be there. But again, as I told you, my little bit of a problem is that of this Yama Yoga. But Yama Yoga for India is not that bad because it is still in the third house. It might have to act something or do things which are not regular, but it is still in the third house. So it is actually in the winning zone. It is in the zone where no major damage is happening. Okay. So this is something which is very, very important, and be ready for this Mercury. There's some amount of financial decisions. Mercury is retrograde. So there will be a little bit of a period because of this Mangal and Shani and the Argala, etc. There will be periods when there will be inflation which will grow. Okay. But overall, it's going to be a year which is going to establish India at the top. Whether the United Nations seat comes, is something that we'll wait and watch, but especially Aruda in the ninth house, this is something, which we can look forward to. Okay. Now, I want you all to, with the same Dhanu Lagna I have picked up. Okay. Generally, people will say Dhanu Lagna, India will be, and India is going to be very, very straightforward. Dhanu Lagna people don't mind calling spade a spade. So if you felt that Jaishankar ji is really talking his mind, then just wait for this particular chart to be functional. We will see India really calling out, people as they are. Okay. But look at this 2022 chart. If you remember, this is America's chart. Same thing. Jupiter, if you see, was the day lord and the Lagna lord. But what did we see? This was in MKS. So if you remember in 2022, when I did this webinar a year back or 2 years back, I told that this will be the time when the American president would look the weakest. Because the Lagnesh and everything, America would look weakest, etc. And it was one of the worst years as far as America is concerned. And Joe Biden, the way he handled himself, the way they handled Afghanistan, the way they handled many other issues, frankly speaking, the way they handled China, the way they handled Russia, the way they handled Ukraine war, the whole thing, they really messed it up big time, Otherwise, there was a time when America was undisputed leader, right? But this is the year chart from which things changed, and then there was a China, then there was a Russia, there was an India, there were many other players claiming to have an equal sort of a say. Okay. Now, this year, what's happening in this year? For them, the Lagnesh and the, again, like that year is the same. They had Jupiter that year in 2022, but in 2024, it is Moon. So it is going into the ninth house, okay, which is Moon. Moon is in Pisces. Okay. But the thing is, it is also combust, but it is in the 9th house. So it is not as bad as 2022. Okay. And frankly speaking, last year, 2023 chart was also not bad from an economic perspective. Okay. This year also, we can say that there is only one planet which is in Kendra, two planets in the Kendra, which is Jupiter and Mercury. So they are going to do well financially. Okay. And, we can say that definitely this Yama Yoga is there in the 8th house. India was having it in the 3rd house. So there is also a war which they will get into. Okay. So definitely those are there, but financially they will do well. Okay. And frankly speaking, financially, even last year, they were not that bad. Okay. But 2022 was a disaster. That was the year when they completely lost out. But this is the time when the military expenditures will be very, very high. So which means the election is coming, election has happened, and it is payback time. Generally that's how the whole thing works in America. Right? UAE, my karma bhumi. How are they doing? Okay. This Yama Yoga is in the 4th house. Interesting. Associated with 𝗪𝗲𝗿𝗏 Lagna. Okay, we'll talk about it. And the day lord is in the 5th house. And this Jupiter, Mercury are going into the 6th house. First of all, where is the Lagna Lord going? Lagna Lord is going to the 4th house. Okay. 4th house is again all about properties. Okay, home. Generally what you can say is Sukha. Right? So Lagna Lord is going into the 4th house where there is Yama Yoga associated and there is 𝗪𝗲𝗿 Lagna. Okay. So the focus for UAE again would be on the property market. Okay. Petrol because of Saturn will still be an important sector. But frankly speaking, the focus will still more be on Mangal. What is Mangal? Now we can interestingly talk about things related to military. So this will be the year which is going to define UAE spending a lot on military or having high ambitions in terms of military expenditure. Apart from home market. Home market is part of it, but the focus is actually going to be on military. Okay. At the same time, there is Ketu in the 11th house in Virgo. It is going to be all about space also. Space, intelligence. So somewhere down the line, there is going to be a drastic change about UAE getting a little aggressive in terms of various missions, various military setups, a lot of collaborations, 11th house is the house of collaborations. So, there might be a lot of collaborations with different countries having space projects. They are already in talks with India, etc. So they will do a lot of it. And that is going to be the problem. That is going to be the focus area. Okay. To punch above its weight, to reach higher, to be called as the best area, the safest area to stay. Why? Because it's Yama Yoga. This is basically also about the safety part of it. Having an Aruda of a country which is the safest. Being perceived as the best destination, having the best passport, So those are the things which are going to be there. But focus for India is that 5th house, which is even more brilliant. Really, really brilliant. In fact, if you look at the prelude to this property thing, there is also already laws being changed where the golden visa can be got, without an investment of 1 million or 2 million, something like that. You can get it easier. Now they have announced it today. So by the time they roll it out and the action happen, it will be another couple of months. So you understand? So a lot of times when countries bring in laws, or when the rulers sort of are thinking, we need to understand that at times it is the country's chart which is playing in the background. And they tend to take decisions, thinking they are taking it at that time, but they never took it at a certain time before. Right? So what I'm trying to say is, if you understand this, and tomorrow, let's say, if you are going to talk to somebody who can take decisions, who is a decision maker, and if you are a Raj Jyotishi of that country, then typically you can help your king to understand the chart better and help them take logical decisions. Now, before we get into the part 2, I'll announce it, if you're part of my mailing list, etc. If you have registered for anything on my website, you will get emailers. But what is the one remedy that you can start for 2024? It is simple. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. What is the logic to it? The Varesh is going to be Chandra. Okay, moon. Moon is associated with which avatar of Vishnu? Krishna. What is the Dvadashakshari that is 100% to work in Kali Yuga? It is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You see, I am not getting biased. I might like Shiva more, but when it comes to the logical understanding, I would say that, okay, this is the mantra. If you do, ideally 4 malas, because it is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 4 akshara, you have to do 4 rounds, 4 malas. When to do it? Ideally afternoon, best time. It will be very good for your work. So if you are out of work, midday, 12 o'clock, do 4 rounds of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It will work brilliant. Huh? If you are in Sadesati, recite Rudra Chamakam. If you don't have it, just WhatsApp my team and they will give you the audios of Rudra Namakam and Chamakam. And the simple mantra for Jnana, Om Namah Shivaya. Okay, so these 3 remedies are superb, but this remedy for 2024 will work bullseye. If you don't have too much of time, you would say, Kartik, just give me one thing to do. Do Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, now what are the things that is homework before we meet next? You need to make your country's chart and the place you live in. I want you to do that. Check the Lagna and Lagnesh. Let's say somebody is in Iran. I've got few students in Iran. They keep telling me, when are we going to have the change and all? I've done a study, but I want you to do the study and send it to me. Where? On readings@kartikgor.com. Okay. There is no harm in failing. Try and do it. You'll have your country's chart, and even if you don't have the country's chart, you can, do based on the process I've talked. It would be on the April 8th and 9th. Just see when the first percentage or immediately Amavasya is ending and Pratipada has started. Okay. Now, the last but not the least, list out the dates when Mercury and Venus are going to go into retrogression or basically are getting combust. Add that also to the list. And these are the things I'll discuss in the part 2. Okay. But I want you to start doing it. Now, another tip I would give you is, you all are using a calendar, right? Where you can choose the first day. First day of your calendar, change it to Sunday. Generally, the standard British calendars and American calendars, or what you use in Microsoft, will start from Monday. But there is an option where you can choose the start day. Choose your day from Sunday. It is Surya. Surya is the king of planets. You have to start it from that day. Okay. Don't start it from Monday. Start it from Sunday. Okay. And if you need any understanding, there is this help desk. Please WhatsApp, don't call. Akash gets on an average 150 to 200 messages in a day, my help desk. So please, for God's sake, don't call him. WhatsApp him better. He is also active more on WhatsApp, not on Telegram. But for any reason, if you're not on WhatsApp, then Telegram. But if it is possible, do it. I suggest you to go to my website. and download the 2024 predictions ebook if you haven't already, because there is a lot related to that, which I'll be doing it in the part 2. Okay. And I'll be announcing the part 2 very soon. So if you are registered over there, either the header or footer, just put your details. So what will happen is you will be part of my mailing list, and immediately I sort of announce it, you will be the first one to know. Or you can follow me on LinkedIn, etc. There also you will be able to do it. So this is it for the part 1. And I'm going to announce the part 2 very soon. In the meanwhile, if you found that, this was something, which you got a lot of value, I've shared the link to the Google review, so that more and more people can understand the logical part of it. And if you can share your experience, your learnings, then it would be nice of you. So I'll see you all soon, very soon. And I'm now not traveling much. So within a month, we'll do the part 2 of it. And I request you all to send me your questions on that email which I have sent. And so that, or if you have any wish list related to this topic, which I can cover in the part 2 as well. And I would love to do that. So thank you all for your time. 𝗫𝗓𝗍. Bye. See you.